Oh shoot. God dang it. Damn. Shalom. It was kind of late night. Well, sister probably be uh heading to work. But I guess hopefully I'll catch us on the way to work. Lord willing, know it's late, but it's okay. I got out late. I just made it in the house. Shoot. Try to do a little quick little glance. Things just kind of been rocky rolling. Rock and rolling. All right, we're gonna keep pushing through. All praise to the Most High. Mm. Shalom, 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 shalom. Become. Become. Shalaki, Shalaki. Trying to get on here, do a little quick late night player. No, it's on it. Hey, I'm not trying to get straight through it. Gonna go into how this wind kind of be beating vehemently on these houses, man. Meaning going into us and how we kind of be going through these different afflictions, man. Brothers, sisters, still got to keep pushing through, man. Uh, we already know we're gonna get these different seasons, but we got to be prepared to go through these things too. So, uh, first precept is going to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. It said, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven." So we know there's gonna be a season for everything. Basically, going into this all the seasons that we go through, we know that we gonna be going through these things. Just like Rock as we going through these seasons, get what the Lord tell us to do while we going through these seasons. Preparing ourselves for temptation. We're gonna read that too. Right? Sirach chapter 2 and verse 1. Said, "My son, if thou comest to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, and set thy heart aright, and constantly enduring, and make not haste in the time of trouble." So this is the time that we should be standing up and getting our spirit right for the Lord, man. Especially in the things we kind of going through, man. Right? It be hard sometimes, man. And I ain't saying that it ain't, because it be hard sometimes on us too, like the ones that's pushing the truth, right? Yep. Some people do. Just like we read, like the Lord said, we got to constantly endure, right? But the Lord said, to everything there is a season, a time, and purpose to everything, man. Right? And we come to serve the Lord, we got to prepare ourselves for temptation. And if we preparing ourselves with temptation, get what the Lord said He's gonna always do. When the Lord said He'll prepare ourselves for temptation, He also said just in the time of temptation. the book of First Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13. There's there had no temptation taking you, but such is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with temptation also make a way to escape that you may be able to bear. So the Lord said, no matter what kind of temptation that you put on, the Lord said He's not gonna put this much temptation on you that you can't have an option to get out of that temptation. And this is something that we need to make sure that we focus ourselves on, right? This is sometimes like especially in my frame of mind of thinking in this truth. I don't learn a lot of different things in this truth, but I learned a lot of things to do, but I learned a lot of things not to do, right? That's why we always, no matter what, how we feel about each other and how much it be so much division in the truth. At the end of the day, guess what? If brothers can put their pride to the side, guess what? We always gonna need each other. I mean that we always gotta be around each other, but we still need each other. Just like we gonna need the northern tribe to go back to the kingdom. Like we gonna need each other, guess what, even in this captivity. Because we can't do this thing alone, man. Right? The book of Sirach, chapter 33 and verse 1. There should no evil happen unto him that feareth the Lord, but in temptation, even again he will deliver him, right? So the Lord said, no matter the evils that you go through, the Lord said, guess what? That temptation, He said he said He will still deliver you out of those things, man. And it's something. So that let us know, guess what? It's something that we always have to believe these things, man. Right? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 5. Moreover, the nation in their wickedness conspire, being confounded. She she found out righteousness and preserved him blameless unto God and kept him strong against his tender compassion towards his son. And when the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man who fled from the fire which fell down upon the five cities. This goes into Lot, right? Of whose wickedness even unto me, of whose wickedness even unto this day, that waste land that smoketh in is a testimony, and a plants being bare that never come to the ripeness, and standing pillars of salt is a monument of the unbelieving soul, right? Because it's gonna be some people fall by the wayside, man, right? There's some people be falling by the wayside, man, and there's some people. Man, look at that ain't nothing but a distraction. Let me see. Let me see. Use the time out. Info. Mm, That's crazy. But anyway, like the Lord say, it's gonna be some kind of it's gonna be it's a pillar of salt is a monument of the unbelieving, right? So guess what? Some people is not gonna believe this truth, man. Right? Just the thing, it's the same thing, you know, our beloved brother Paul was saying. But some people don't believe, right? The book of Romans chapter 3. We're gonna start at verse 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. That God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mayest be justified in the things saying, and mightest overcome when thou art judged, right? So this is why it's no comparison to what we bring to the table. They can't compete with the knowledge that we have in the Bible. Why they can't compete? Guess what? And as they why they can't compete? Because we live this. And as we will live through this Bible, guess what? We're gonna be going through these trials and tribulations, just like a common man will go through, right? And it's the same thing because a lot of time we think, oh, we in the truth, we can't go through nothing. Yes, you will. And if you think you in the truth and you're not gonna go through things, then you in the wrong thing, right? We're gonna always go through these things because the Lord said we will go through seasons. So it means as we go through these different seasons, some seasons is gonna be tough, some seasons gonna be easy. Some blessings gonna be covered all about, but some blessings, guess what, man? It's gonna be, hey, you just be going through it, man. Right? You'll be going through it, but the Lord He'll make it work. Mm, right? The Lord said, I always makes this thing work, man. The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these things, these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken unto I will like him unto a wise man which built his house upon the rock. Right? And we already know that rock is your house, shy man. Right? Because the thing is, this is why the understanding of the Bible is pivotal. This is why the understanding of the Bible has to be uh laid open for the foundations of this earth, right? Because as we go through, and like you say, you'll see the trials and tribulation come because when those winds blow, it's gonna blow, right? And these situations will come around. It's gonna hurt sometime. But sometime when you thinking that the time that like, man, I'm the weakest, those times the Lord is building the strongest, right? He building you the strongest way, right? Watch this. The book of Isaiah, chapter 53, in verse 10. Yeah, verse 10. Now this is the Most High talking about his son. He said, yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him, and he had put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, and he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. So as Christ went through this journey of of a human life, right? As a man, as Christ went through the journey as a man, right? Which we know Christ in the Most High. Guess what? And it says it plain. When the Lord shall see his seed, the Lord is looking at his own son, right? But he went through some things, right? And as he going through, he seen his son go through the thing. Guess what? But it pleased him because guess what? He already knew that the lessons that he was teaching his son is guess what? On how to rule his people when he come back. That's why when Christ come back, it's not gonna be passing out flowers. He's gonna be ruling with the rod of iron because he already see how the wickedness in man go. But guess what? It pleased the Most High to send him through the fire, right? So just like us, we gonna go through the fire and don't think that it's just gonna be easy, right? You got fire that'll burn you, and you got water that'll drown you. The things it's on either side. That's why the Lord wants us to be on a straight and narrow, right? Okay, read this again. Book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24. Therefore, whoso hear these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built a house upon a rock, and the rain descending, the flood came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And this is the spirit that the Lord want us to have on us. That the rain came, the winds blew, and both of those things beat upon the house. But the Lord said, it fell not. Why? For it is founded upon a rock. That's why brothers and sisters got to make sure they have a good foundation in this truth. A good foundation in this truth is everything, man. And that's something that, like you say, brothers and sisters need to be practicing on, right? In this truth, you must have a good foundation, right? Because you're gonna go through these things, man. Right? Uh, watch this. The book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and verse 25. It said, "Let thine eyes look right on, and let thy eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder thy paths of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not, turn not the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot far from evil." This is what the Lord expecting us to do, right? Why the Lord said in verse 25, he said, "Let thy eyes look right on," right? You got to be looking at the prize, man. Right? And he said, "Let thy eyelids look straight before thee." Right? This is uh uh this is why the Most High God is looking at us in a manner of how 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 growth comes, right? It takes a little, like you say, it's hard when you got the when you tilling the ground, right? It's hard when you tilling the ground, but as you beat the ground up and you plant that seed, guess what? As you plant that seed, then it's when the Most High God gives what he lets you till the ground to soften the ground up, plant the seed, and as you plant the seed, guess what happens? You water it, you take care of it, you nourish, and then that seed that was up under the dirt, it started to break through the soil. And once it break through the soil, now you have your tender plant. And there's a tender plant, guess what? You nourished it before it was up in the ground. Now you nourishing it on outside of the ground. And as you nourishing on the outside of the ground, guess what? You got your wind, you got your sunlight, you got all these different elements. And as you sleep, guess what? The plants are growing, right? This is what we got to this is what we got to have understanding about, man. Right? What we got to have understanding about. And this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and verse 26. It said, Ponder the path of thy foot, and let all thy ways be established. This is what we must be doing in this truth. Establishing our ways, man. Right? We must establish our ways in this truth. Meaning what? Get ourselves on a good foundation. Because when those winds come and the rain come, it's not gonna be easy. Because we gonna go through things in this truth, but it's not gonna be easy for everybody. Right? Verse 27. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot far from evil. And we got to go get the classic precept on why it's saying don't turn to the right hand to the left. I just explained it, but sometimes we got to go get it just for context. The book of Second Ezra, chapter 7, and we're gonna read start at verse 7. It said the entries, it says we're gonna start at verse 6. He said, There is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and it is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left deep waters, and one only path between both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could be only one man go there at once. And so just think about it, man. That's why the Lord said, don't turn to the right hand, don't turn to the left. Why? Because it's fire. Guess what? You got on the right side, you got fire, but on the left side, you got water. Right? Fire can guess what? Burn you out. That's because this is think a brother and sister need to think about it. Fire can burn you out, or water can drown you out. And these are the things that can take you out of the truth. Do you want to get burnt out of the truth, or you want to get drowned out of the truth? You can get drowned going through doctrines, or you can get burnt out of this truth. Guess what? Through your guess what? Through your own covetousness or your own pride. Right? People do. Guess what? You got to count the cost, man, in this truth. All right. That's why the Lord said you can't turn to the right hand or to the left because, like you say, brothers gotta count the cost, man. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. And we're gonna read in it in read verse 25. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the wind blew and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon the rock, right? Founded on your house, shot, man. Good foundation, man. Strong foundation, right? Verse 26, and everyone that hear these sayings of mine and do it not them. So now it's the flip side. If you doing what you're supposed to do and you hear the Lord, you was founded on the rock, meaning you was keeping the commandments. Guess what? You was doing what you supposed to do, thus said the Yahweh the power, right? But now verse 26, it said, and everyone that hear these sayings of mine and do it not them shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. Right? And that's man, these things is heavy. We don't want to be building our house upon the sand. We want to be building our house upon uh uh the son of the most high, man. Right? Verse 27, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. So guess what? That's just like brothers and sisters in this truth. That's why when we see like certain people in this truth, they see them fall. We be like, damn. And we watching this in real time, right? Going through right hand, going on the right hand side, going on the left. Guess what? The Lord said, don't choose right or left. You got to stay in the right path, man. Stay straight ahead and keep your eyelids ahead. That's what Proverbs chapter 4 is explaining, right? Watch this. In verse 28, and it came to pass, and when Yahushua had ended these sayings, the people was astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribe. That's what because this is the same way we teach. We don't teach as though as these Christian pastors. We don't teach as these like a Muslim. We don't teach like a 7 day Adventist. We don't teach like these religions. That's what we teach with authority, meaning we teach with the power of the Lord, because guess what? You'll see us pulling scriptures all day. But for them that you don't see them do it, right? You'll see like what I say, a person like Geno Jennings type of person. He had some little truth about him. Now, guess what? Him not keeping, but I could see he had started out going against a lot of the churches until I don't know, some things changed. And then guess what? He was going against a lot of them churches. But when you not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, guess what you start doing? Being like those churches. Right? Right. Let's go to Matthew chapter 14. Uh we're gonna start at verse we're gonna start at verse 22. And straightway Jesus constrained the disciples to go into the ship and to go before him unto the other side while he sent the multitude away. So there was a lot of people that was following Christ. He had just got finished feeding 5,000, right? We just got finished feeding 5,000 people, right? He had five loaves, and he had two fish, and he fed 5,000. Right. Uh, so he told the disciples to go into the boat. The disciples went into the ship. They went. They told him. He told them to go on the other side of the sea. I mean, sail across, and he's gonna send a multitude away. And so the disciples did. Verse 23. And we had sent the multitude away. Matthew chapter 24, verse 23. And when he had sent the multitudes away, Shalaki, he went up into the mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was alone. So this is Christ. Guess what? Uh, Going up there to pray to the Most High, and it's going into another day, but he's still up there praying, right? Because he said when the evening was come, so he meaning he was going into another day. All right. Verse 24. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea and tossed with waves, and the wind was contrary. Right. So now he said the ship was tossed was in the it was in it now in the middle of the sea. And so this is just compare and contrast how we compare and contrast our life. Sometimes we be in the middle of the ship and that ship is getting tossed. Right. Watch this. In verse 25, and in the fourth watch of the night went went uh, went unto them walking on the sea. So Christ came out in the fourth watch of the night. Right. So I'm explaining stuff to brothers and sisters. So when you comparing watches, so a watch is that's why the Lord called us the watchmen, right? That's one of the titles that He gave Israel, to being a watchman. Okay. In times past, they always had a watchman at night while the people sleep, so nobody would try to attack us while we sleep, right? Because he would stand at the gate, and he'd be on the high tower, and he'd stay up all night trying to make sure the people were safe. But it wouldn't fall on one person. It was more than one people did it. And then they call this thing, they basically call it a watch. So during captivity, it changed from 3 watches into 4 watches. When at first it was a watch from 6 to 10, and from 10 to 2, and from 2 to 6, right? But then it's changed from 6 to 9, and from 9 to 12, and from 12 to 3, and 3 to 6. Right? So Christ came during the fourth watch. So he came between the hours of 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning. Right? So it says, so Christ is the book of Matthew, chapter 14, verse 25. Right? And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushua went unto them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit." They cried out of fear. So now this is how want brothers and sisters to start thinking. When you going through your stuff, when you going through any situation and Christ show up, guess what? When Christ show up and you sitting up there in fear, you know what the example of? Gonna read it. Watch this. Watch this. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Watch this. The book. Let me see. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. The book of Matthew, I mean not Matthew, the book of Genesis, chapter 3. And excuse me, book of Matthew, chapter 3, and verse 7. And the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Right? Verse 8. And they heard a voice of and they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Eve and his wife hid themselves from the presence of God among the trees of the garden. So They went to when they heard the voice of the Lord coming, guess what? They went and hid themselves, right? They was in fear because they was naked, meaning what? They was in sin. Watch this. Let's go back and read Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter 14, and we're going to read verse 26. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit," and they cried out for fear. Right? The Lord did not give us a spirit of fear. Right? That's something that the Lord didn't give us. Right? But they had that spirit on them. Meaning what? That's what you had a spirit of fear. They had a spirit of sin on them. Right? I ain't saying that. Guess what? The difference is between the Yahushua and the disciple. Yahushua never sinned. The disciples, guess what, was a different thing. Because guess what? They had fear on them, right? But we ain't saying that the disciples went into sin right there. But we just saying the spirit, they guess what? They had a spirit of fear. That was a spirit of sin, right? That was on them. Because once you walking with your house shot, he give us the tools. He giving you the things that you need to do to fight those things off. And when you don't use the tools to fight them off, get what you do? You use the tactic of what? Fear. And fear brings what? Sin. Verse 27. Matthew chapter 14, verse 27. But straightway Yahushua spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer. It is I, be not afraid. Right? And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me to come unto the water. So guess what? Peter said, okay, Lord, if it's you, let me come out there. Right? So when Peter came out there, guess what the Lord said? He said, Peter asked him, said, Lord, if it's you, let me come out there. So guess what Peter did? And guess what the Lord allowed him to do? Verse 29. And he said, Come. And when Peter came down out of the ship, he walked on water to go to Yahushua. So guess what? It wasn't just in this instant that Yahushua was walking on water. Guess what? Who else was walking on water? Peter. Guess what? Peter walked on water too, right? Because he that's why the Most High God tries the reins. He tries the heart. He knows who is for him and who's not for him. Peter wanted to do it. He had all the intentions to be doing this thing and to walk on water just like Yahushua. He had all the intention, but it was something there, right? Verse 30. But when he saw the wind boisterous, boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. So when he was afraid and began to sink, that wind was blowing vehemently on that boat. And it was blowing vehemently on Peter. And he seen that violent wind, guess what he did? He began to sink, right? And he cried out, saying, Lord, Lord, he said, Lord, save me. And immediately Yahushua stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore doest thou doubt? Peter had that doubt in him because the wind started blowing and he took his eyes off the prize, right? For to go back and reread this precept again, because these are things that ties in with it. The book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and verse 25. He said, let thy eyes look right on, and let thy eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy foot, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left, and remove thy foot far from evil. Right? And this is what Yahweh was trying to explain to him, man. Look, man, you should have kept your eyes on the prize, man. Don't let your keep your eyes. He said, keep your eyes right. Mean keep your eyes in the right direction. Don't turn to the left. Don't turn to the right. Guess what? Ponder your steps. Guess what? Get a good foundation. That's why we tell brothers and sisters all the time, get that good foundation in this truth, man. So once you get a good foundation, guess what? If you going through situation, you know how to refer back to the Bible and the things in the storyline or in precept upon precept. You can go back and look at those things and see how to help yourself in the situation, right? I'm not saying that you're gonna read this Bible and learn how to drive a car by reading the Bible. That's not what we saying. That's never not what we saying. You're not gonna get in the Bible and start, man, I'm gonna get in this Bible and I'm gonna learn how to drive a car. No, that's not because that has nothing to do with the Bible. But guess what? While you in that car going to work, or you in that car, oh excuse me, Shalaki, going day to day, guess what? You can be throwing them prayers up saying, Lord, bless me on my journey. Bless me going to work. Or bless me to make it home safely. Right? Bless me to afford this car so I can go on my journey. These are the things that you can say to pray for those things because those are the things that the Lord is expecting us as people to do, or Israel to do, because we are the people that the Lord of the book. So we got to use the powers that the Lord give us in this truth, right? The Lord said we have not because we act not. But a lot of us take our eyes off the prize, man. And it's something that the Lord don't want us to do, right? Keep yourself right and keep yourself in the right frame of mind, man. Verse Book of Matthew chapter 14, verse 31. And immediately Yahweh stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, he said, O thou of little faith, wherefore thou doubtest? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. And then they that were in the ship came and worshiped him, saying, O truth, thou art the Son of God. So, but guess what? Christ had to show them, guess what? He just fed 5,000 people with two loaves. Guess what? I mean, five loaves and two fishes. It wasn't enough. But guess what? Guess what? When you seen the miracles do it, I'm like, dang, that was wonderful. Because he seen them like doing a miracle in a broad spectrum. And that was wonderful. But now the only way you can see God is through your trouble. That ain't what God wants you to be for that. Through your time of trouble, he wants you to call on him. But guess what? In your time of trouble, he wants you to call on him. But don't take your eyes off the prize while you calling on him. Right? These are the things that the Lord expecting us to do in this truth, so we will not fall out of this truth. Right? Uh just want to come in and do a little quickie class, man. I had to put some man, I'm talking about, man, well, Esau been hell on me here lately. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in, man. Y'all share the video, y'all help us put this truth around the four corners of the earth. Man, if ever, Lord willing, man, I can get more time really just to do. Man, I'm bone tired, man. I can't even lie, man. But I'm still trying to just push through it though. Uh so thank you, brothers. Like you say, thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in. Y'all share the video, y'all help us push this truth around the four corners of the earth. Uh, thank you, brothers and sisters, man, for like you say, giving donations, giving alms. Uh, thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in. Uh, like you say, I'm just kind of just doing the class. Hopefully, man, brothers and sisters kind of catch it on their way ride to work or something, man. Just try to help get their day to day going, man. Lord willing. Uh, uh, like you say, man. We just hope brothers and sisters, man, had a good spirit to stay up on them, man, and keep on pushing, man. Uh, the law, we see it follow law, statutes, and commandment. So you gotta come out with a law. Uh, let me see. It says the book of come so the book of Leviticus, chapter. Let me just read the law, verse 21. It says, Book of Leviticus, chapter 18, verse 21. Thou shalt not Thou shalt not let any of thy seeds pass through the fire to Moloch, neither shalt thou profane the name of God. I am the Lord. Meaning what we don't celebrate Christmases and stuff, and we ain't doing it for the kids because we're not doing it for the kids. You're doing it for your own grown ass self, right? With it, we say shalom.